Hey, and welcome to the channel. Well, there's the car behind me. Let's check out what we're going to be doing today. So, of course, from the thumbnail, automatically you know, we're going to be putting some long tube headers and a catted X-pipe on this car. Coyote engine, of course. So, let's put this thing on this lift, jack it up in the air, and check out what we got on the bottom. Okay, so now let's follow along and do the step-by-step instructions on putting these long tubes on your Coyote car. And let's see what this thing's going to sound like after they're installed. Okay, and here's our kit. We have this kit right here, the long tubes from Pypes Performance Exhaust System. Of course, it comes with the necessary hardware to extend your O2 sensors, all the bolts, flanges, of course, the Pypes X-pipe with high flow cats, and our long tubes. So, this is what we're going to be putting on the car. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We got the car. I had to jag it up because it's low as crap, so we can get it on the lift. I've already done an exhaust system on this car, showing those Mustang's EU side tips going out the side skirts, but we're going to be redoing it all. We're going to be reusing the Mustang's EU exhaust tips, but all the exhaust system's going to be gutted. We're going to replace it with all new stuff, make it a lot nicer, and hopefully make it sound a little bit better. All that's going to be replaced. Now these, we will be reusing these, and right here, this will be reused on the X-pipe. So this is going to be budding directly up right there, just like the OEM. And we're going to be redoing these pipes coming out the back here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take off this crap right here that I've already put on, pull them tailpipes off. Then we're going to go ahead and get under here, loosen up right here where our O2 sensor is plugged up the top. And we're going to take the two bolts right on each side there, on each side off to get that makeshift X-pipe out of the way so that we can get to our manifold. Okay, I got the tailpipes off. I've got the O2 sensors. These are the lower, downstream, and upstream. Both of them, front and back on each side, has been disconnected. So now, take this massive X-pipe off. And of course, it's spinning. Okay, now that that's out of the way, we can get way up here to these real nice bolts. It's real easy to get to on the driver's side and passenger side. Now I'm going to loosen this top motor mount bolt on both sides. There's one there. Go to the other side. That one right there. I'm going to go ahead and take those all the way off. And I'm going to take those engine mounts all the way off. Okay, now I have that top bolt or nut removed. Now I'm going to take the engine mount itself off. So I've got those two bolts on that side. And if we go to the other side, there's one there. And one there. Motor mount on the driver's side. Which with that out of the way, a lot of clearance. Now, just to get myself more clearance, I'm going to pull this right here up out of the way. Okay, now with that out of the way, the header should easily pull off. All right, finally. That one's out. Now it's time to put the massive one in. Okay, and here's what we look like with that manifold out of the way. So I'm going to put the long tube in here and see if I can retain these factory studs. I'm hoping I can. I'll pull the gasket off, of course, replace it with the ones supplied with the header. But I'm hoping I can retain these studs right here because I like using the OEM equipment. let's just go ahead and get these gaskets off, and then I'm gonna clean up around where the gasket sits flush to the head there. I'll get a little rag and clean all the way around them little ports there and see if it'll fit. I'm just gonna replace it with this new gasket right here that came with the kit. I'm gonna slide it on there and then see if the header will fit right on there. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and please share it out with your friends. It's free to do so, and it helps us on getting some of this great content out to everyone and helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So please hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it here at 1194 Video. Okay, I just got it up in there. I had to jack the engine up just a little bit more to get a little more clearance. And now I'm going to put a bolt in there so I can hold it with the stud. Okay, there you see I've got it in place. I've got the studs. I'm using the factory studs. I trust them over the bolts provided. So I'm going to go ahead and torque these right here down on this side, get this motor mount on this side back in, and get it all, you know, makeshift put back together. And then we'll start on the difficult side. Starter's in the way, motor mount's in the way, so just a few more things to take off. And everything on the left driver's side is all back together other than the top bolt for the top of the motor mount. I'll get to that when I get it on the ground. But driver's side is now completed. Now, starting over here. So we're gonna go over here. I'm gonna take the bolts out, or the nuts securing these wires to the starter motor, get those removed and get the starter bolts loose and pull the starter completely off. Okay, got the starter out of the way. Now you got to take that ground wire loose from that terminal there, and then you take your motor mount loose. So that's next in the process. All right, I've got all the bolts out. So now there's the engine mount. Now I'm going to try to get to all those stud bolts right there without having to take anything else loose and just pull that manifold out. All right, I had to get to 2 of the bolts from the top, but it's finally free, so I can get pulled right on out of there. Now I can get up here, I get time to clean these. Now the manifold's off, and I'll go ahead and I'll separate the nut from these right here, because some of them, according to 3 of them, came out of the block. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the nuts off and screw them back in the block and clean the threads up a little bit, because I want to keep these studs rather than using the cheaper bolts that are supplied with the headers. All right, I got this one in place. I just got the nuts just finger tightened up on there. So now this one right here is in place there. So next step, let's go ahead and get all those torqued down, 18 and 26 pounds all the way around, starting at the center and work my way out. And then I can go over here, get my mount back in, get my ground wire back on, and start putting the starter back on. Now I'm putting the engine mount in place by putting it on the stud first. Then I'll put it up towards the hose there and get my boat started. And then I'll start to lower the engine down. And then I can go ahead and put my nuts back on top of the mounts and torque them down as well. Engine mount is mounted back up. That right there will be the last step. Whenever I get the car back on the ground, I'll go ahead and torque them back up. Motor mount's torque. Now, starter. So, we'll get that starter back into place. Get our ignition wire and our hot post wire back on. And get our little safety cap back on. And then it'll be time to get back here and get the X-pipe put in. Starter's back on. Wiring is back in. I've also got the engine now sitting down. So you can see that right there be like right there. Just that one like that. Just that one just like that. So clearance on these headers. Excellent clearance. So now I gotta get these O2 sensors out and put the O2 sensors in, and go ahead and get the O2 sensors that goes in the rear one, get them put in as well. and go ahead and get this X-pipe bolted into place. Now on the O2 sensors, they're connected at the top of the transmission. You can pull those loose and pull them further back so that they fit around right here, around where these looms are in the transmission, and you'll be able to access those with plenty of room right here from your back of your header. Now our kit here come with plenty of hardware. Now of course, the bolts for the manifolds or the headers, I didn't use those, but I will be needing the bolts like these long bolts here to mount and secure the X-pipe to the header. So that's one thing we will be using out of this hardware bag. Now, with these bolts right here, I'm just going to slide one right through there and one right through the other side just for now. And go ahead and get this set right here into place and lined up. Okay, now just line those up where I think they need to be, and I can go ahead and torque my bolts down. So wherever I want these right here to sit, I just need to put those where I want them. So I'll put that just like that. Then I can go ahead and get those torqued down. All right, this is gonna be the very first start. I've not heard it yet, so let's see how it sounds. All right, so here's a little bit of a sound. All right, well, that's going to be it for the video today. I hope you all subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out some of the other builds in my playlist, my videos. There's like 400 videos on there, so plenty of things to keep you occupied if you haven't already went through them. But that's going to be it for the 67 fastback build today, getting the long tubes installed, X-pipe, and the high-flow cats. But what do you think? Did it sound good enough for you? Well, let's catch y'all on the next video whenever we're going to be redoing our tailpipes. That's going to be next for the project. We're going to be doing a little bit of a more strengthening onto the back where the tips run through, and we're going to be finishing up our tailpipes and our exhaust system. So stay tuned for that. Catch you on the next video.